For more on Israel's allegations, Jason Hart, Professor of Humanitarianism and Development at the University of Bath, joins us live. Professor, thank you so much for your time. An Israeli intelligence dossier alleges some 190 UNRWA employees have doubled as Hamas militants. How could these allegations impact aid in Gaza?
Well, we're already seeing the impact on aid in Gaza in terms of the withdrawal of funds from, I think the last time I checked earlier today was around 12 nations have said that they are suspending aid to UNRWA. And obviously that has very, very serious implications for the humanitarian situation, given that UNRWA is the main provider of humanitarian assistance to, I think, around 2 million people in Gaza. This is very, very, very serious indeed.
Now, Professor, UNRWA says that it has fired some staffers and is investigating the allegations. How could it impact the UN's reputation? Has the UN lost its credibility here?
Not at all. This is an organization that employs thousands of people, at least 13,000 people to the best of my knowledge. And we're talking about small numbers of staff who, incidentally, have all been approved effectively by Israel. UNRWA has to submit the names of its employees to Israel, which inevitably will then check out those individuals by their names. So these are people who've been approved by Israel as well. But even so, this is not a reason to suspend funding for UNRWA when the aid itself is so desperately needed, as pointed out, interestingly, in the ICJ ruling the other day that said Israel must improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza in order to avoid.
You mentioned the ICJ ruling. You mentioned the ICJ ruling. Do you think then the timing of these allegations is related to that? Could Israel be using this as an excuse? How do we know about the credibility of these allegations?
Well, in short, we're not clear about the credibility of the allegations. To the best of my knowledge, we haven't seen much in-depth evidence to suggest that these are founded allegations. And certainly this kind of allegations are consistent with Israel's efforts over many years to delegitimize UNRWA, to effectively to destroy that organization, since it stands in the way of Israel's larger plans for its own country and for the Palestinian populations in surrounding countries as well.
Now, Professor, if UNRWA is unable to help in Gaza beyond February, will other agencies be able to help? And are there other organizations on the ground that can fill that gap?
The gap is enormous. So in short, I don't believe there is any organization that is in any way ready to fill the gap that will be left by UNRWA. But in any case, whichever organization is left to do that work in the medium to long term will have to contend with mass destruction of civilian facilities, including UNRWA clinics and UNRWA schools, universities, hospitals of various kinds, churches, mosques. The wholesale destruction of civilian infrastructure will have severe implications for the efforts of any humanitarian organization to deliver effective aid and to deliver basic services in the forms of education and healthcare.
Professor, you said that given the deteriorating humanitarian situation, nations shouldn't be pulling their funding. But given that so many are, what's it going to take to convince them to reverse their decision?
That's a very difficult question. I think we should be asking, in any case, a parallel question, which is, how can America continue to justify delivering billions in aid? The latest installment, I believe, was $14.5 billion in military aid to a country that is committing ethnic cleansing and genocide. The figures that the US government alone gives to UNRWA on a yearly basis are dwarfed. They're very, very small. We're talking around somewhere around $300,000 to $350,000 a year in comparison to the billions given to Israel. But nobody's talking about that. I think this is something that those countries that state that they care about human rights, that they care about the humanitarian situation unfolding in Gaza, they should be asking about that. They should be wondering why it is that the US is providing such enormous financial support to Israel and other countries providing military support, providing political support, and so on.
Thank you, Professor, for your insights. That was Jason Hart, Professor of Humanitarianism and Development at the University of Bath.